Hi, Angela Myers, here to elevate your mind, body, and spirit. Are you worthy? What does that even mean? Worthy of what? I see this everywhere. You are worthy, you are deserving. And there's actually a meshing and confusion of two different realms that actually could be hurting you and impairing you in your personal development. So I'm gonna break that down for you. You're gonna leave here with a lot of clarity on what it means to be worthy and deserving, what you're worthy and deserving of, and what you are not worthy and deserving of. So super easy analogy and diagram I'm gonna share with you that's gonna help you to change your perspective on that. I'm a track and field competitor. I compete on national and world levels. If I show up to that track meet and I step on the track and I'm maybe 20 pounds overweight, I've worked out a couple times a week, but missed a couple days here and there, a couple months here and there, am I worthy and deserving of first place? No. Not in that arena. As a human being, am I worthy and deserving of love and all the good things life has? Absolutely. We're blending a spiritual realm with an earthly realm, meaning in the spiritual realm, my sense of who I am at my core, is absolutely worthy and deserving of unconditional love and everything good the universe has to offer me. And I am no different than a homeless person, a person in prison, a person who is leading a country. All of our collective I-ness is worthy on the same level, deserving on the same level. I'm gonna give you a diagram so you can see what this means. This I is on the spiritual level. This is who you came into the world as. When you were born as a baby, you already had this sense, this spiritual nature in you. That's I, right? So this is the one that's worthy and deserving of unconditional love and grace. And there's really only one place that you can get that, and that is from a spiritual nature. Human beings are flawed. We rarely give unconditional love, even to our children. There's conditions. Unfortunately, in a lot of relationships, marriages, there's conditions. So the truest, purest form of ever getting that sense of worthiness and unconditional love is truly from one spirit, whether you call that source, the universe, God, whatever term, to yours. That is the worthiness. Now on the earthly realm, all these little spokes here are how we identify ourselves. So this could be my role as a spouse, a husband, a wife, my role as a parent, a mother or father, how I show up in my career, how I am as an athlete, or I'll put a body, or your body, how much money I have, my stuff. There's so many of these external factors that we identify ourselves with here on the external, and these are the ones that are not worthy and deserving. This is what I mean. If I do something really crappy as a parent or as a spouse, am I worthy of unconditional love and all the good things life? Yes, right here at a spiritual level. In my role or my identification as a spouse, no. I have fallen short of where I know I could be. I didn't show up in a way that was my best self. I didn't present as much, whatever, discipline, structure, grace, truth, integrity, whatever that is. And so I can grow here. This is like me saying I show up to a race and I deserve to win or I'm worthy of winning when I haven't. No, there's room for improvement. You don't get first place, sorry. And this is where we can start to have a really honest assessment and a balance of both love and grace and compassion for ourselves here as who we are at our very, very, very core. And also a balanced assessment of how we're showing up in our roles in the world and looking for ways that we can improve these, because you don't deserve first place as a spouse if you're acting really subpar towards your partner. You don't deserve first place if you're not being the best parent you know you could be. This is not to put any sense of condemnation or guilt or judgment on that. It's an accurate assessment of saying, I don't want to saturate myself and soak myself with these feelings of deservingness and worthiness when I'm actually not showing up in a way that would get me first place or even a place on the podium in that area. That's where the honest assessment is. So again, this is the spiritual realm. This is how we show up in the world. How we show up in the world. If you want that first place, you put the work in and you make the improvements and you build yourself to be somebody that can be proud to show up and receive your trophy. But here, you don't have to do a darn thing. You are just innately, inherently born to be receiver of amazing things in life, of unconditional love. And so I hope as you start to see the difference between the two, it gives you both a sense of empowerment that, you know what, I didn't show up very well today in this area. There's room for me to grow. There's room for me to improve. And I am completely deserving of compassion, love, and acceptance for who I am. So the main way it helps to differentiate between yourself at the core and yourself at how you identify in the world is that you don't have to feel badly at your core when you don't show up in a role in the way that you like, because you're not identified with that anymore. Say your identity was completely wrapped up in your career and you got fired. If I believed that I was my career, that was actually me, I would be devastated. I would have a sense of complete ruination, not being enough, failure, all these things, because I identified myself as how I showed up in the career. When you start to realize that you are not your performance in your job and that they're two separate things, it actually gives you a much, much healthier way of showing up in the world, because you're saying like, wow, the way I showed up at that job was not the right fit for that company. And it gives you the chance to either say, do I want to increase my skill sets? Do I want to increase my value? Is my value in that area good enough maybe for another company? But you don't have to feel bad about it, because at your core, you are still completely loved, deserving, and worthy of good things in life. Here's how you can use this tool to start to create some honest assessments. If you write out on this little diagram and make your own legs here and write out all the ways you show up in the world, whether it's as a parent, as a spouse, in your career, the amount of money, how your body looks, all the things that you identify with in your life. And rank yourself in each area, meaning like, do I feel like a 10 as a parent? Do I feel maybe like an 8 as a spouse? Do I feel like maybe a 5 in my body? Maybe a 4 in my finances? Like, you're ranking yourself in those areas, but not as yourself. This is deserving, worthy, full of value, right? Just out here in these circles. And then give yourself an honest assessment. Like, okay, how can I show up better in some of those areas? I am enough at my core, but how can I have more value in what I give in each of these areas that I'm identifying and how I'm showing up in the world? That allows you to use the system to both make that sense of personal progress, personal growth, liking how you're showing up in the world, and at the same time always carrying within you that flame of love, unconditional love, grace, and self-acceptance, and knowing that at the core of who you are completely enough. You are completely deserving. You are completely loved, completely worthy. So again, we're separating the two, that we can walk in a sense of worthiness and a sense of growth together. They do not cancel each other out. In fact, once you start to realize that you are not your roles, they perfectly balance each other so that you can show up in the world in an even better way, an even better representation of who you are at your core. Another great thing that happens when you start to understand that you are not your roles is you're able to take criticism much better. When someone tells you that something, say your job was not performed well, or say your spouse is telling you it's something, some way that you let them down or made an error, that sort of thing, many people turn right here and they feel personally attacked, like at their core, like they are not good enough, they are a mistake, they are incapable. No. Listen carefully, because what they're giving you feedback on is your role in that area. And yeah, okay, that's great. Can you improve that area? I'm sure you probably can. So it allows you to take feedback and criticism in a way completely differently than you may have before, when everything you identified so closely with that role that when that role was attacked, it felt like an attack on who you were at your core. And as you start to separate the two, disassociate from how you're showing up in your roles, you can always be open to growth in a role. Always probably do better in each of those areas, and welcome the feedback and the ability to grow, and never have to feel like you need to defend this. This is already amazing. This is already great. This is already deserving. This is already perfect. So you don't have to be attacked at your core by criticism. So let's even look at the language of this. You would never need to say, I am a failure. No, you're not. You may have failed in a role. You may have said, I failed as a husband or wife, or maybe I failed as an employee, or maybe I failed in my money management skills, or I failed to take care of my weight loss issue. You could say those things, you failed in that role, but you here are never a failure. And in life coaching, I find these people who may have experienced failure in a certain area that they showed up, and they say, I am a failure, or I am not good enough. or I was rejected, or all these things that they're attaching to this poor little center that is completely valuable and worthy and enough and deserving, and putting it there. No, that's not it. You failed in a role, and that's an easy fix. Sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes it could take a couple years to fix it if there's like a skill you need to really put some time into developing. But don't identify, even in your language, to say, I am this. It's your role, which your role is either succeeding or your role is either failing or growing or dying in that sense, but never you, never you. So even watch your language and how you're differentiating between I and my role. Leave a comment. I'd love to know how this sits with you. Does this help to see the difference between who we are as a spiritual being and who we are as who we show up in the world? Does that help to differentiate between the two, and then to also give you the chance to, yes, live, breathe, and move in a sense of complete worthiness, and also show up in a way that says, I can do better. I want to do better. I was born to do better. Leave me a comment, subscribe. I will continue to feed you with great content that will help to elevate you in the way you show up in the world and the way you feel about yourself, create vitality in your life. Have a great day.